Welcome, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm your producer and host of the show, Dr. Lino Martinez. This is your motivational podcast of people's incredible journeys. Oh, yeah, let's do this. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world can live as one. Yeah, the world is living as one today with my incredible guest, Kathy Eldon, here on A Little Less Fear podcast. Kathy Eldon has worked as a journalist, author, and film and television producer in England, Africa, and the United States. In 1998, she launched Creative Visions, inspired by the life of her son, Dan Eldon. Thank you, Dan. Since 2004, the organization, recognized as a UN NGO, has impacted more than 100 million people. Kathy founded Creative Visions Productions to produce entertaining, impactful films to ignite action. She is the author of 17 books, including Hope Rising, a Musing, published in 2021, and her memoir, In the Heart of Life, published by HarperOne. A popular speaker, Kathy has been featured on countless television programs, including several appearances on Oprah, and she is here on A Little Less Fear podcast. So awesome to connect with you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm a
Kathy,
big fan,
yes?
huge fan. Loved your book. Can't wait for the next one.
Thank you. You know, it's pretty incredible. It's been 4 years since I wrote the book, and I felt like I had to get it out. It was, and I'm certain you understand this, writing 17 books. It's like this message, this feeling, this energy that needs to come out. And I've been blessed with the gift of writing since I was a toddler. I was about 5 when I started writing. And so it came quite natural for me to just let it all out, write it all out. And at the very end, it felt really good. It was very therapeutic for me. Is this a similar feeling that you get when you write books?
100%. And right now, I was just going to kind of pull up something that I've recently written. I've got words inside my head that are demanding to be said out
Please.
loud, as though to a crowd. Too long they've been suppressed, leaving me feeling repressed, depressed. It goes on like that. But yeah, for sure. And it took me 23 years to write. No, it took me 16 years to write my memoir, which was called In the Heart of Life. It took you clearly. You got through that very quickly, and I applaud that. I think what's interesting when you write something as you did, which was like such a condensed period of time about so much, you're now going to have the ability to reflect on what it all means and
Yes.
put it all together. And that was a 16-year process for me, which in truth, now like 10, 12 years later, after the publication of my book by HarperCollins, I would have another whole view on it. And I think you're finding that with what you wrote. Is that right?
Absolutely, Kathy. It's been so in 4 years, so much has changed. I mean, at the time, I was still struggling. I didn't have a voice. And so now I can speak. I never even thought I could sing again. I can sing again. And so there's so much more life and energy in this physical body that was existing at the time when I wrote it. And at the time, it was mostly internal. And now I'm living both internal and external realities. And with this, plus the podcast, and plus even the passing of my brother, in which I actually say the rebirth of my brother, there's just been so much more love that I've gained from everything. And with love, there's a lot more clarity. And I'm really looking forward to get the second book started. And I know that it's not ready yet. And I will know the minute I start writing, because the minute I start writing, it just happens. I'm ready, and I'll
You're right.
start.
Well, it's true. I might at some point keep going on that poem, because that I call them rhyming word stories. But can I just read you something?
Please do.
Okay. It started, it's to hell with the consequence. I have thoughts inside my head, thoughts that demand to be said out loud to a crowd. For too long, they've been suppressed, leaving me feeling depressed, repressed. But today, my thoughts demand to be expressed. No way I can hear a little voice inside me say, just think of the consequences. You'll have no defenses. You could be silenced overnight, forever extinguishing your light for what you say. Just leave it for another day. And then I hear other inside voices mumbling, grumbling, saying, if not now, then when? If not you, then who? The world is on fire. We need people who can inspire. Someone else will do it better, I say, brushing them all away. We need a noble leader, a Nelson Mandela or a Martin Luther King, or someone like Taylor Swift or Bono, whose gift it is to sing. A charismatic leader from an exotic place, or maybe an alien who descends from outer space. A leader wearing sandals, a leader wearing tats, or I know about lots of leaders wearing funny hats, like turbans or a crown. Hey, we need all kinds of leaders, leaders standing up and leaders sitting down. We need women, like an Eleanor and Michelle. Well, I know. How about Kelly Clark or Oprah? Really anyone who can sell the idea that we are one. Tell the world that connection is a solution, not shouting and dissolution. I say today we need light-filled leaders who fight for community, unity instead of those who divert us from democracy to civil war and autocracy. No more allowing the evolution of an angry revolution. Now I can hear all my inside voices shouting out loud as though to a crowd. If not now, then when? If not we or you, then who? It's time to take a stand and watch others stand up to take a stand with you.
Oh man, Kathy, I love this. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Trade poems. You're very kindly going to read that one. Yeah. No, but you're compelled. You have so much to say, Lino. I'm going to call you Dr. Martinez. You have so much to say, and we need to hear it. I have so many people I want to hear your introduction to pain, suffering. Everything you're saying is critical and needs to have an enormous audience. So I'm going to
Thank you
help
so much. Oh man, the audience starts now, and you're my audience right now, and I'm just so blessed that you're right in front of me. Thank you.
Lucky me.
Well, lucky me, lucky us.
Right. Perfect.
I love the sentence. Just think of the consequences. There will be no defenses.
Exactly. Scary. Scary to be authentic. Scary to follow that internal voice. But the consequences of not doing it, living in quiet mediocrity and being self, less a self in a way. Yeah. I mean, you're a psychologist. Tell us about me. I'm going to interview a little bit. Tell me about your training in psychology, please.
Yeah, so actually, I'm not licensed psychologist. I wasn't able to be licensed. It takes over 3,500 hours to be licensed, and I graduated in 2010. And by then, I already had about 5 surgeries under my belt. So I actually finished in hospitals. I finished my book, which is called a dissertation, which is what you need to graduate your doctorate with. I finished it in the hospital typing. And I was really blessed that my professor gave me that time. And so that's when the disease went full force after that. I was living in hospitals for over 10 years. So that was in 2010. And by 2020, I was still suffering, going to the hospital, but I realized like I have all this education under my belt. It's not for nothing. Everything that I learned, there's something there, and I love it. I'm still passionate about psychology because it took psychology to get me to where I'm at now. And so I used that force of writing. I just finished writing a book. Okay, yeah, that was 10 years ago, but now I can write the book about my life and what got me here. And so, I mean, that's my training. My training is life. My training is my education in the combination with my life lessons, with love and with grief, and turning it all around to light up the path as bright as I can. And so what I've learned in life is that there's no life lessons, like the life, or how can I say this? I'm sorry. Life is training you. It's not testing you. And that's one thing that I've learned. I used to think, okay, well, now why am I being tested? Why this test now? Well, hang on a minute. What if it's not a test? What if it's all a training? Let's turn that T test to a T training. I'm being trained to be the best version of myself. That is why I went through all that. Let's peel back the onion layers. There is a core at the end, and that core is the light that's shining bright. The same light that exists within you exists within me, exists within plants and animals and birds and trees. And I'm ready to shine as bright as the sun is shining today. And so nature has been what's been training me. It's not just psychology. And so I'm thankful for all the professors that were there, and they're all there synchronistically to guide me to where I'm at today. I'm just so blessed. That's how I feel. I feel blessed.
Beautiful. Yeah. It radiates forth from you from the second I met you.
Thank you, Kathy. Well, you know what? You still got me pumped up on the poetry. And there's a poem that I wrote for you that I was gonna wait to the end, but I'm gonna read it now.
Right this minute, please. Yeah, good.
Oh
I'm
my
ready.
goodness.
I am ready.
Okay, let's do this. So I rarely title my poems. I just write. And then sometimes at the end, I'll be like, what's the title? I don't know. Well, it's for this person, so I'll title it their name. But this time, the title came first. And I wrote this last night when I was meditating, thinking about you. So here it goes. It's called My Sweetness.
Mm.
My Sweetness. For I
Mhm.
speak that of which I've tasted. And the sweetness comes from a loved shared commonality, a handshake, a unity, a hospitality. My sweet tooth has savored many, and in my tranquility, I foster a warmth that's given, not borrowed. And in once barbed wired confusion of solace, the fire of my passions ignited a new way to shelter sweetness. And for this very reason, I share my ingredients with a wish to unite us all. And that's it.
That's absolutely beautiful. You will please paste it and send it to me. It's
I
absolutely beautiful.
will. I
Yeah,
will.
as
Thank you for
all of
the
you.
inspiration.
I love the poetry that you included in your book, and I would
Thank you.
urge people to buy the book. I
Thank
will
you so
continue
much.
to say that.
You know, it's yeah, I just the poetry that I wrote my book is quite different than the poetry I write now. I can feel it and I can sense it. And it feels that a lot of the stuff that I used to write before was coming from a lot of pain, but that was my way to get it out. And now I have a lot of love, and now I'm getting all that out. So I've seen the transformation of the poetry, but either way, pain is still love. So it's out of love that I've been gifted this, and with this gift, I give back to humanity what humanity wants to feel. And so I love writing. I just love it.
I'm going to slightly challenge, only in the sense that I am surrounded by people who are going through physical pain.
Yes.
And so the concept of transmuting it, or how, whatever you're saying, love is pain, you don't, you can suffer, but you don't have to be in pain. Talk to me about that, because they are hurting, back pain, fibromyalgia, all kinds of painful issues that they're facing. So how do you recommend that people actually deal with this pain in a spiritual way?
So what helped me was first to not identify with it. And I had to let go of all identities, Kathy. We will get to the pain in a minute. But what I first want to get to is identity, because people start to identify with their pain. They become their pain. I became this disease. I am a walking Muckle-Wells syndrome. That's who I was.
Yeah.
And so in the silence, when I wasn't speaking and I had no choice but to meditate and be alone because I couldn't talk to anybody at that point. My sign language wasn't fluent. I couldn't communicate. So I was communicating inside. And I remember thinking to myself, what if I dropped all of my identities? What if I wasn't a trans man? What if I wasn't a female before? What if I'm not a doctor? What if I don't have 4 diplomas? What if I'm not 5'1"? What if what if I don't have this disease? What if I never had 50 surgeries? What if all this? What am I left with?
Mm.
And in sitting in that silence with my eyes closed and asking myself that question, okay, I'm not pain. I'm not pain. I'm not stress. I'm not the stitches. I'm not the scars. I'm not the degree. I'm not the diploma. I'm not the scars or the trauma that I've gone through. I'm none of that. What am I left with? If I'm none of that, the only thing I was left with was the word love. It crept up. Love.
Mm.
Love. It's like it blossomed. Love. Wait a minute. So I'm just energy? You're love. Love is energy.
Mm.
And even in those few seconds, I didn't feel pain. And that's how I started transmuting. Hang on a minute. Even if it was 5 milliseconds or 5 seconds, it turned into 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I wasn't having pain anymore. And so it was really believing and understanding that I already am love. And if I can love every part of me, including that pain, I love you, pain. Thank you for the lesson. And I release you. You can release the pain. Now, one thing that I learned the hard way is what word gratitude meant, because I thought if you're grateful, you receive things to be grateful for. But what I realized is that you also have to let go of things. And this is what I realized. This is how I realized. So a year ago, a year and a half ago, I had my feeding tube removed, and they found some stones in my neobladder, which is a new bladder created for my small intestine. And I thought I was done with surgeries. Here I am on this super duper spiritual road path, and I can stand on my head, and And why am I getting this again? Why do I need another surgery? I don't understand. So I meditated on it, and it said, Lino, you're grateful for surgeries. Oh
Mhm.
my goodness. That's right. I've been grateful every day. Thank you so much for all the surgeries I've had. Thank you, surgeries. What do I need to do now? Let go. Thank you. I release you. No more surgeries. Thank you. I release you.
Let
I was
me.
still holding on. I was being grateful. So also, it's very important to be mindful of your semantics, the words that you use. What are you being grateful for? Yes, it is true. When you're grateful for love and when you're grateful for wellness, you will get more of it. And one other thing I realized was that I kept saying I'm on a healing journey. I'm on a healing journey. Even hashtag on my on IG, hashtag healing journey here, healing this. And I'm on a healing journey. What about you? Hang on a minute. I'm still healing? No, I feel good today. Am I healing right now? No, I'm well. So why do I keep saying that I'm on a healing journey? I'm on a wellness journey.
I love that.
I had
Yeah.
to change that. I'm not on a healing journey. I'm on a wellness journey.
Yeah.
Because healing is the act of it's creating. You are creating more healing. I'm healed. What's the opposite of healed? Well. I'm well. And so I realized now that I was well and that I had to continue with the wellness attitude. And so that's the advice. It's the best authentic, meaning truest to my light and what I've gone through, advice that I can give people that are currently in pain, whether it's emotional or physical. Yes, mental can be very challenging, but it can also be done.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. I will want to share this podcast with all my friends who are enduring right now. I'll use the word enduring uh, such pain, and have them aware. Would be great if you created that little handbook or something where people can be reminded of how they are constantly reprogramming their minds. And the body listens to the mind, of course, or our thoughts become our illnesses, I suppose. How you I don't know how you would define that, but
Well, a
yeah.
belief is a thought that you keep thinking. So if you keep thinking the same thing, you're going to believe it. And our brains, everybody's brain, no matter the age, people have the cliche of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, you sure can. It's called neuroplasticity. All you have to do is build a new road in your brain and your neurons. And by building that new path, that new road is by changing your thoughts. When you change your thoughts, you change your belief system. And even if it takes for you to reaffirm something, I am beautiful every day. Wake up. I'm beautiful. Look in the mirror. Well, I don't feel it, but I'll say it. I'm beautiful. Well, guess what? If you keep saying you're beautiful, eventually you're going to feel the energy of beautiful. Maybe you won't physically see it yet, but before it manifests in the physical, it is manifesting and is already created outside the physical where everything first begins. And once it's begun there, it will start to transmit itself a different way. And so that energy, I am beautiful, that's the energy of love. You're beautiful. I'm beautiful. This microphone's beautiful. This chair is beautiful. Beauty's everywhere. When you start to feel beauty, you become beauty. And so a lot of it is definitely changing your thoughts and your thought patterns. Self affirmations are really important because self affirmations is a rehearsal. Whatever you rehearse in your mind, whatever you're thinking, you're rehearsing like a play. I'm going to be an actor in a movie. I got to rehearse my role. I'm going to be on a play tomorrow. I got to make sure I rehearse so that I don't mess up my lines. When people are repeating their thoughts, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. Well, that's what you're rehearsing. That's the play that you're going to be on. That's the movie you're going to be on. I'm sick. How are you? What? I'm sure there's more to you. Let's talk a little more. I'm sure you're not just sick, but nice to meet you either way. And so it's really changing that identity and really letting go of the attachment of this pain, because when you attach to this pain, you become that identity, and that's not who you are. That's not who I am. That's not who anyone is.
When I was going through I've had several true dark nights of the soul, and one came as a result of parting from me leaving a husband and then the lover, and really awful time in my life. And I was taught to recite a mantra, and for me, I had to create my mantra, and it's exactly what you're talking about: is I am beautiful, I am radiant, I am loved, I am woman, I'm peaceful, I'm powerful, I'm positive, I'm strong, I'm capable. And back then I said I am in control. I've changed that to I am in the flow. But I would
Yes.
repeat it: I am beautiful, I'm radiant, I'm loved, I'm woman, I'm peaceful, I'm powerful, I'm prosperous, I'm strong, I'm capable, I'm in the flow, over and over thousands of times because I didn't believe it. I would have tears streaming down my face because I didn't believe a word of it. But as you say, it's critical to reprogram that brain. And maybe your cells will believe it, even if your brain isn't quite believing it.
So a couple of things I want to touch on. Your cells will believe it. Will believe it. I want to get there. And also changing control to flow.
Yep.
Let's talk about those two things. Let's start with the first thing you mentioned, changing your mantra, changing control to flow. So the reason why it's important to change control to flow is because we have no control. And there's actually beauty in chaos. Without chaos, there's no order. Things need to become chaotic before they come into order. Just like you need to get down to get up. Like James Brown says, you got to get on up. How are you going to get on up if you ain't never been down? It's the same thing with chaos. There needs to be some type of chaos before there becomes an order, and there always is, even mathematically, even in the universe, even with the Big Bang. There's always a chaos before there's order. And with that means there's no control. And with that means that there's actually harmony in having no control. And when you can admit that there's no control and you can let go, that's when you become in the flow. And that is why you were able to change that intuitively. Hang on a minute. When I think about I have control, why is there a little bit of resistance? A lot of our answers are in our resistances. There's a little resistance with the word, with me saying I have control. Why? Ouch. Why that tiny little minuscule feeling of resistance when you say the word? Because we have no control. And when you can finally let go, that's being in the flow. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it.
Well, it's the Tao. The Tao is like right now, it's really, really tough. But guess what? This too shall pass, and there will be another cycle. There will be another aspect of the flow. And if we can think of ourselves on this river, that if you bam into an obstruction, a river will go around it somehow.
Yes.
And it's trusting that the river is taking you where you want to go, which is often really difficult. But instead of resisting the obstructions that are there for our learning, if we can learn to just like bless and release and just like allow and don't resist it because it's happened, it's happening, it's whatever. It's a hard learnings for sure, hard learnings, but by golly, if you can keep reminding yourself, there's such important lessons to be learned. I'm not in control of anything except my only thing I can control is my response to things, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's
challenging. Reaction versus responding.
Yeah. Reaction's really hard. But if we can try to find, I've got a project now. It's called the Harper and the Yellow Goggles, and it's about a little girl. It's an animation project whose Nana keeps trying to get her out of the house because she's always wanting to hang out, with her iPad. She's probably about 6. Her name is Harper, and her Nana is desperately trying to get her out of the house. And she says, Harper, pop on yellow goggles when you go out to play, and you'll see the world in a very different way. You'll see the good and the bad, the glad and the sad, greet grumps of the grin, and find magical ways out of the trouble you're in. And best of all, you'll see we instead of just me, which is a stupendous way to be. But this sense that, it's our perception, it's how we see the world. And how can we shift our perception of the world because we get what we expect? And you've said that already today. It's very true.
You get what you expect, you get what you assume, and you get what you presume. And I love those yellow goggles.
Thank you. I love them too. I've lost the arm of this one, but I have about 10 more pairs of
those are excellent. I love it.
Thank you. I do too. I really love this project. Thank you.
Thank you. And so, yes, you get what you expect, you get what you assume, and you get what you presume. And it takes a lot of, as far as for me, it takes a lot of grounding. I spent the whole day yesterday pretty much going inward, going in nature, going to the park and meditating, and then coming back to do this all over again and to feel rebirth. Every time nature blesses me with its wisdom, with the breeze brushing against my body, it felt like it was hugging me and loving me. And I just go with the breeze. I go with the wind. I listen to the songs of nature, and I understand that the roots below me go down so deep and they have so much more wisdom than I ever will. And so the only thing that I have at the time to do is to surrender to the wisdom of what already is in front of me and feel that love vibrating. And trees, you can tune in to what they're trying to tell you. There's a voice. They have a voice. It's really beautiful.
I love it. Beautiful what you're saying.
So cells. So
What?
cells will believe, and that is very true. And so our body's 70% water, just like the earth. It's not by coincidence, 70% water. And just like icicles, if you look at all icicles under microscope, they all have their own significant shape, like their own Mandela type shape, and they're all really beautiful. There is no one identical, there are no identical icicles. All icicles have their own incredible, specific to their authentic nature shape. And just like that, it's been shaped by energy, it's been shaped by harmony. Bless you.
Thank
It's
you.
been shaped by the balance and the beauty of nature, which is the symphony, the orchestration. And that is the beauty that we see in icicles. The same goes for water. I mean, there's been so many different types of experiments and books written on this, where if you talk bad to water, it starts to, under a microscope, it starts to look quote unquote ugly, whatever we would say, not ugly, not beautiful to our eye. And so when you speak beautiful to water, the droplets of water start to turn beautiful just the way icicles do. Likewise, imagine if we are 70% water, our brain, our body, and our cells, and we talk beautiful to our cells, it's going to change into something beautiful. And so that's why self-affirmations are so important. They're so important because you're actually talk to your cells. Hey, cells, blood cells, you're so strong. I love you. Heart, thanks for Oh my goodness, my heart, you kept me alive all these years. You're still beating for me. My brain is still going for me. Like, wow, this is some beautiful blood. Thank your body. How often do we thank our body, our feet, our nails, our skin, which is the biggest organ on our body? Thank you, skin. My goodness. It wants to be thanked, and it acknowledges it by giving you more love. It's really incredible.
I love it. I love what you're saying.
I know I could just keep going, huh?
Absolutely.
Kathy, let's talk about your son's documentary, the documentary you did where journey is the destination.
Yes. Yes. What would you like to know?
I would first like to know the title. Can we talk about journey being the destination? What is a journey? What is the journey?
I would say our lives are all a journey. And you said journey to healing at one point, or journey to healing, and then you said you were on a wellness journey. Each one of us is on a journey from the moment we open our eyes. And it can be a torturous journey. Probably much of life is challenge, and they forget to teach that when we're little and we're watching Frozen or whatever we're watching. It's like, oh, we can do this. So the night will come along and we will be rescued. Life is challenging, and we often think that there's a destination, that when I get married, I'm going to be absolutely fine. When I get the job raise, when I get whatever it is, everything will just like magically disappear, like President Trump about COVID.
Right.
It's going to be gone. But in actual fact, we will never arrive at Ithaca is a wonderful poem by a Greek poet. Essentially, we will never arrive at that destination. So really, it's about the journey. And how do you want to live and experience your journey? And my son Dan was a young kid who grew up in Africa, surrounded by the most wonderful people in the world. I mean, really extraordinary humans, creative, active. I call them creative activists. He grew up to eventually become a photojournalist, and he was killed in Somalia when he was 22 years old. It was a really, really rough time for me to have to deal with that. But we discovered journal pages. And in the journal pages, we found one particular one that said the journey is the destination. And that kind of reframed everything that we were thinking about, Dan, is that, he was on a journey. His journey was cut short, but my golly, he lived a good life. And if you're only going to remember this one life for now, then make the best life you can possibly make it. And don't leave out the goodness waiting for something. Don't use your wedding linen, when you're my age, use it. Go ahead now. People don't have
Right.
wedding linen anymore, but you get what I mean.
I do
Make this
get what
the
you mean.
best damn journey you can possibly live.
I love this. So make it the best damn journey that you
The
can make
best
it.
damn journey. You could say the best darn journey. How's that?
Oh, I love damn. Damn's fine too. Damn darn journey you can make it. And it's really interesting that you said right now people wait to use things like I tend to save things that people give me, and I had a friend come over this week who he believe he got this incense from Colombia, and he gave it to me as a gift about 6 months ago, and I haven't burned it. And I showed it to him, and he said something that really ignited to be true for me. He said, "Wait a minute, I gave you that. That's abundance. That's the universe giving you something. Do you feel abundant?" I was like, "Well, I do." And he's like, "Well, why not use the gifts from the universe?" I was like, "Yeah, I love this." So that night I used the incense, and it's like, wow.
Exactly. I know. We put
Yeah,
it away in a drawer, that special drawer that, you're going to use it when it's just the best time. That bottle of champagne that goes off because you've kept it for so many years.
right, right.
So many things like that my silver, when back in the day, we used to get silver. It's tarnished beyond possible use because I
Oh,
was
it
saving
sure
it.
does. Yeah.
So use the silver. Use the wedding
Use the
china.
silver, use your jewelry, use the gifts that people give you. That's why they're gifts.
It's funny because I was married 1,000 years ago and I had beautiful wedding china, which is what we did back in the day. And I'd never used it. And during COVID, it was like, wait a minute, it's just sitting here. It's like 40 years later. So we used it and it's completely worn out. All the gold is gone. But my God, we had some great meals there for a
Right.
while. It was really
And I'm
fun.
sure it tastes more delicious as well.
Everything looks so good. It doesn't look great now, but I have no regrets. Je ne regrette rien. Do you know that beautiful Edith Piaf? I have no regrets. No, no regrets. Da, 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 da,
Right. Yeah.
da, da. Dan played that the night before he was killed. He played
Wow.
that, and then they found a tape of Pretty Woman, and they played that, and then with young journalists, and then the next day, four of them were killed. But imagine living a life where you can say, I have no regrets. And I think that part of that is ensuring that before you go, you say, I forgive you, I love you, to everyone who might be out there who you need to make sure that you've said these words to. Because if you don't, you will have regrets. You don't want to have any regrets, right?
Absolutely not. I don't want to have any regrets. I don't. And so far, I don't. I did. I
Good
can't say
on
I
you.
didn't because I did.
That's very good. I love that.
Yeah, I used to definitely. And then anytime there is a regret, it's like come back down. What am I regretting? What is this really about? There's always an underlying reason for that.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, but if we just with the people we love, if we know that we don't know how long we're going to be here on this earth. We really don't. I didn't know Dan was going to die at such a young age.
Oh yeah.
But he had called, we'd had some hard times. I'd left my husband. It was painful. But we had that kind of final conversation that if I hadn't had that, I swear I would not have healed. It took a long time to heal, to get through this, but by golly, it's absolutely critical.
I'm
Yeah, I've
sorry, did
got,
I miss it? Did I miss the final conversation? What do you mean by the final?
yeah, Dan and I had gone through a rough patch because I left my husband and he was very sad. And he was living with Mike in Africa and aware of the profound sadness that Mike was going through and that Dan was going through. And so that led to a couple of years where we loved each other, but we didn't actually have a lot of real communication. And I wrote him a letter and I didn't justify, but I explained who I was. And he wrote back and he said, I get it. I really understand. And thank you, And then we set up a call. And remember, it was very difficult back then because he was in Somalia and he would come out of Somalia for short periods of time. And it was I think it was my birthday. And I was in New York and I walked over to a newsstand and I pulled out Time magazine and Newsweek magazine, and there was center spreads of Dan's work. He was standing next to a tank, a burning tank, and I managed to track him down. He was on a little bit of a leave at Mike's house, my former husband's house, and I got him. And I was very worried about him because just recently, a young aid worker had been killed. And I said, Dan, don't you think it's getting really dangerous? And I had been a journalist myself, so I knew about danger. And he said, Mom, he said, please don't ask me to leave. The story isn't over yet. Please don't ask me to leave. I found out later that the editor had said, please, would you stay on for 2 more weeks? He knew there was that little voice inside him that had told him that it was time to leave. He said, please, but don't ask me to leave. I can't. And I said, pause. I said, okay, Dan, I'm so proud of you. You're living the life of your choice, and I'm so proud of you. And I said, I love you so much. And then the phone clicked off because there was always a bad connection. And he came back on a minute later and he said, Mom, I love you so much. I'm sending you a ticket to Nairobi. And I said, no, I'm sending you a ticket to London. And with that, we agreed to meet within the month. And the phone clicked off. But I'd said what I would need to say to someone if that was the last conversation. I'm so proud of you. I love you. You're living the life of your choice, and I'm proud of you. And that's in our film, The Journey is a Destination. That conversation is in there. And I think for us to have the validation from like your parents that, hey, it's okay, I love you. We're proud of you. That's all we really want, is to be seen for who we really are and validated for that. I mean, then you can die happy, and I think he went fulfilled. He really was. He was living the life of his choice, and he did everything that he wanted to do for himself and for humanity.
Oh, I love this. I have a spiritual question, or just your own thoughts. Do you think that souls know when their time is up?
I think Dan did. I don't think I can speak on behalf of other souls, but I do think I can speak on behalf of Dan. The week before he went back to Somalia for the last time, went round to all his old friends and the mothers of his old friends, and he kind of repaired a few fences with some people where he was trying to protect one particular friend from his mother for a long time, and maybe made his mother feel like not great. And he went and he repaired that. He went from one place to another. He told a dear friend who was also 22 years old that when he died, he wanted to be buried like a Viking in his Land Rover, just as sort of jokingly. But when we look back at it, as wow, that's really interesting. I think there was and he was in a war zone, so that there was that possibility more than most people. But I think souls, like you were saying, have a contract. I don't know how that works, but I'm not afraid of dying. I've had a phenomenal life. I'm fulfilled. Every day I wake up, I get to do what I believe in, and I want to do so much more. But I am living the life of my choice, and I'm really lucky because a lot of people don't. And I actually have one, if you don't mind, I have something that articulates this better than I maybe can. May I just share that with you?
Absolutely.
So it's called Carpe Bloody Diem, and you know what Carpe Diem means.
Yes.
Seize the day, right? So I'm going to read this to you. It's short. I could hear words inside my head that felt important, like portents of things to come, but I was sleepy and I couldn't find a pen. So instead, I said I'd remember them. Around 3 a.m, I woke up with what felt like a warning, a rap on the wrist, a reminder to recall what I might have missed. When it was light, the words I'd heard so clearly that night had, like morning dew, evaporated, disappeared, been erased, vanished without a trace. Inside my head, I heard a little voice say, "We had an important message for you, but you blew it. So to remind you, here's a clue." Then I recalled 2 words from all those that had taken flight that night. Carpe diem. Seize the day, I heard the voice inside me say. Today, reach out to those who need to know how much you care and share what you know would matter most with those who most matter. Like what? I asked. Start with what's easy, the voice inside my head said. Like, I'm sorry that I made you worry. Then you could say, please forgive me for what I've done or will do that may have or still could hurt you. Then pause. It's a lot to take in. Then begin again and mean it when you say, today I forgive you too. That's hard. Then just be still, because you will want to really hear words you most might fear that he, she, they might say. Words that could still reveal pain in private places and secret spaces about wounds that may need to heal. The next 3 words could be the hardest of all for you to say. So practice before you call, as the words, I love you, are the most important words of all. Carpe diem. Seize the day. Need leave nothing unsaid to those you love, for life could, no will, like morning dew, evaporate, and those you love, and you could. No will. Disappear, be erased, vanish without a trace. Carpe bloody diem. Seize the day today.
That's incredible. And you got me ready to seize the day. Leave nothing unsaid to those you love. I love this.
Well, thank you for letting me have a chance. These things are pouring out of me like they're pouring out of you. Now we'll swap. I want another one of your poems.
I love the swap, and I mean, it's definitely the same. We're on the same channel. We're both on 103.5 Love Songs on the Coast, and I mean, I absolutely love this. And I have a question for you when you write poetry, only because I can only speak for myself when I write it. When you write it, do you feel that it's coming from your higher self, from a different source, a different energy, or how would you explain it?
Well, you had Hope Rising, a Musing by Kathy Eldon and her Noisy Spirits.
Yes.
So I give full credit to this gang of invisible friends, my friends in high places, I refer to them. And, people would say, well, you shouldn't brag about having, important friends. And it's like, no, this is not my important friends. Are my noisy spirits. And I believe, honestly, we're all surrounded by spirit energy. And therefore, when I say disappear, poof, vanish without a trace, I don't mean that really. And I need to alter that ending, because I believe that energy remains, it's physics, and that
Yes.
we can access that higher energy, higher, it's right around us. It's not higher at all, it's just here. But we perceive it as maybe higher spaces, higher consciousness, higher vibration. Maybe that's what we could say. But I don't know how. I've got to alter that ending because it's not right. It's wrong. Forgive me.
Forgive me. Well, you're always forgiven. And there is no right or wrong. There's only clarity.
Thank you.
So you're not wrong. You're just getting clarity.
Just getting clarity. I like that. Find clarity of vision. That's a beautiful quote. Dan used to use that a lot. Find clarity of vision.
Find clarity. Yes, definitely. And therefore, there's no judgment.
Yeah, and that's very human to judge. We have to elevate ourselves and there, but for the grace of God, go any of us. Walk in somebody else's moccasins, we can't judge. We have no idea what people are going through.
And therefore, not judge ourselves as well.
Yeah, that's in my book, In the Heart of Life, which is, I don't know, somewhere, the memoir, the biggest lesson for me was the forgiveness. And it was, I forgive, the lover, the husband, the son for dying on me, but then the therapist said, well, wait a minute, there's one more person I think you probably want to forgive.
Yourself.
And it was like, oh my God, no, that's the hardest one of all. That's really hard.
Mm-hmm. I had to go through a similar journey in my book. I had to practice forgiveness. A lot of times we're not forgiving ourselves, and that's where we actually need to start.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, you, my friend, have led an incredibly interesting life. And the ripples flowing from that meeting that we had at one of our sundowners, Creative Visions. We hope everybody will come and visit Creative Visions, visit creativevisions.org, but come and visit us for real. But meeting you was really beyond. And I can't wait for the next meeting. And I hope you're coming to the sundowner next. So
Absolutely, we'll be there. I mean, the synchronicity is there, and the alignment is there I mean, it's divinely planned, and so I'm definitely there to keep the connection and to keep the flow going and to keep lighting up the world.
You got me.
Awesome, great. So, Kathy Eldon, everybody, where can our viewers, our watchers, and our listeners get a hold of you and your books?
Thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you. The easiest thing to learn more about me is kathyeldon.com. And the books, there's Love Catcher, which is really finding more love in your life, Angel Catcher, getting through grieving, Soul Catcher, how do we find purpose in our lives? Our little Hope Rising is just fun. There's a new Audible version. I feel like a huckster here, and the one that I hope you'll read, and I'll give it to you when I next see you, is called In the Heart of Life. And that was my memoir, my journey to understand all of this stuff. And I'm learning so much on a daily basis. But I hope you'll come and find us for real if you're living anywhere in Southern California, but certainly online at creativevisions.org or kathyeldon.com.
Thank you, Kathy. Kathy, what's something you want the world to know?
This too shall pass. I'm going to go with Michelle Obama. Do something. Right now, we are not helpless. We are not hopeless. We have the possibility of the world we want right in front of us, right evolving around us. We are powerful forces, and and power comes with collaboration and holding hands. So let's hold hands and do this together.
Oh, I love this. I'm holding your hand. We're all holding hands. Let's hold hands and unite and do this together, because the true, real deal connection, the authenticity, the light is love. And that's why we're here. Thank you so much. Kathy Eldon, everybody, on a Little Less Fear podcast. Looking forward to staying in touch with you. Wishing you and your loved ones light, love, and glory and grace and all that good stuff.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks so much. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to A Little Less Fear podcast. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends and your family about A Little Less Fear podcast. And if you are interested in being on my show, feel free to leave me an email at alittlelessfear@gmail.com. Or if you have any questions or comments and you also want to leave me an additional message, you can also do so from my website, leaving an inquiry at www.alittlelessfear.com. You can get a copy of my book on Amazon, Amazon Kindle, and Amazon Kindle Unlimited, also titled A Little Less Fear. And thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate all the support. Leave me a review if you get a chance. I love to receive feedback, questions, and comments. And any way that I can be of support to you, please let me know. Thank you so much. I love you. Wishing you love, light, happiness, and many blessings your way.